again, in the UK, no one trusts the BBC. The Financial Times are a joke. I don't know if you saw that interview with that woman and Michael Saylor when she goes to him, but my teeth are scarce. Like these organizations aren't really serious anymore, and the power of Twitter and the power of like your podcast is you can just do it and put it online and anyone can see it. No one's telling you what to do, or you don't need a degree. You don't need to be told, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that. Bitcoin just breaks all the barriers down. So the trust within the institutional media side is completely dead. And it allows your podcast and other podcasts and other media services just to rise, and it allows the individual to choose what they want, not to be force-fed to the BBC or other institutions.
It's so funny because mainstream media is saying exactly the opposite of like those internet medias, podcasts, Twitter is spreading the fake news. And they should trust them because it's like they are the established ones and they are the truthful. And like, no, actually, like if you look at the facts, you're spreading a lot of fake news. Maybe not intentionally, but like you definitely do. You can look at past examples, and yeah, of course, there's a lot of fake news on the internet. Like it's an open protocol. Of course, there will be dumb shit and good shit on there. But yeah, I think facts are spreading faster and faster than ever, and it is a really good time to be alive because you don't need anything, and you can just inform yourself on the first source, on the primary source. You don't have to go to the secondary or third source. You can really look at the one video. Like I loved the I think it was also about the UK actually, JD Vance's speech in Germany where he talked about the UK and the freedom of speech, and I heard just on mainstream media how they were talking about it, and I was like, he went in there and dumped all over Europe, and then I actually was like, oh, I should listen to the actual speech. The actual speech was actually kind of harmless. Like he did not say anything bad. He just like said like 1-2 examples that actually happened. And so primary sources and individual journalism, podcasting, whatever you want to call it, is really, I think, really good for the world.
Yeah, it is. And people are, if you speak out on social media in the UK, people have been put in prison for going against the UK establishment. But I think what we're going to see in these next 4 years, reforms supposedly are getting all the love and attention at the moment. That's led by Nigel Farage. I'm very skeptical on any UK politician, so I'll have to believe it when I see it. But again, a bit like the Democrats that have completely died, the Conservative Party in the UK have died, and the Labour Party will be completely irrelevant within the next 4 years. So it kind of is what is going to be left of the UK in 4 years' time, God only knows. But it kind of, you're looking at reform being like, you guys can't really mess this up at this point. So yeah, it's there was a stat that China are the number one surveillance state in the world. The second is the UK.
It's not something you want to be compared to.
No, and a lot of debanking has been going on in the UK. Nigel Farage, again, he's been debanked, so he's obviously an advocate for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So I think the more totalitarian the country gets, because they can't allow wealth to escape, but even though we've got the most millionaires leaving, we've got the non-doms leaving because they're putting taxes up too much, and you've got the Laffer curve, which implies you put taxes up too much. It actually regresses GDP. And they put up capital gains tax, which is actually seeing less income going to the treasury. So all these idiotic policies that they're doing are going to make the issues and situations worse in the UK, more money leaving the country. So again, why they don't like Bitcoin is Bitcoin, I can get up and just leave. Where if I had a property, property is kind of a capital control. It allows money to stay within the country, within the borders. Bitcoin's completely the opposite. They can't obviously regulate it, can't control it. So I think positioning ourselves now in the UK as a Bitcoin treasury, having a Bitcoin treasury really will give you huge amounts of growth over this next 4 years.
How do you look at Nigel Farage? I saw him at the Bitcoin conference speaking, and I've like zero to no clue about UK policies. So I know the name, but I don't really know for what he's standing for and what his stance also on Bitcoin is.
So I've met him a couple of times. Um, he's very, look, to me, he's very intelligent and he's a great speaker. Um, does that mean I believe every word he says? No. Um, but yeah, it's a look. He says a lot. He says everything that you want to hear, but we all know the situation. A bit like Trump, like he'll tell you everything you want to hear, but when you actually get into it, like the Republicans got a majority, and look how hard it is for him to get his policies across. So like even if Farage says we'll do this, this, and this, like actually when you're in the hot seat, there is nothing you can do. We saw that with Liz Truss in 2022. She tried to get her policies across, and the bond market ate her up. They there was literally a coup on Liz Truss, chucked her out. So I don't really know what you can do. You have to kind of restructure the government, which becomes almost impossible. So it doesn't. I don't think it really much matters who's in charge or what policies they have because you're kind of pulling on the same strings, or you're throwing a bit of money here instead of there. It's the
Uh,
same. It's the same fiat Ponzi issue. You've got to continue to spend. So yeah,
It's also the question of how much does it matter if you're a Bitcoiner and you are way more movable than any other one with any other property. You can, if really shit hits the fan in your country, obviously you don't want to leave your family and all of those things, but at least with Bitcoin, you have the possibility to actually go ahead and just go.
yeah, it gives you full optionality, which is so important in today's world. And there's no way that you could seriously buy a property and get into £500,000 worth of debt and struggle to pay that off the rest of your life. The taxes will go up. So yeah, you really have to think about what I actually want now, because in 4 years' time you may not even really get a choice. So Bitcoin gives you that full optionality and freedom, and you're essentially voting with Bitcoin, which is so important. So yeah, I haven't really. I don't even think I voted in the previous elections. Um, I don't really have an interest until someone conclusively comes out and is pro Bitcoin. Still haven't seen that with reform, but that could change.
Yeah, one cycle behind in America was also hard to see like 2-3 years ago, and now it's like, oh shit, like they're really positive now on Bitcoin and crypto, and maybe we see 2028 two candidates in the American election, they fight who is the real Bitcoiner. Like that would be fun to see.
Yeah,
That would be a pace of change, definitely.
yeah. Like who knows? But yeah, it's waiting and seeing at this point.
Absolutely. One more thing on institutional side, I think is interesting, maybe for people to know. I don't know how much information or insights you have on that, but how does the custody for institutions look like for publicly traded company? Like obviously, like there's not like one guy that holds the keys. Is it always with like some partner, like I think Coinbase in America a lot, or are there companies that actually hold the keys themselves? Well, I don't know, like it's a multi-sig with like 12 people or something like that.
Yeah, I can't speak on behalf of Coincilium on how they custody. I'm only an advisor, but looking from the outside as a just a general retail and seeing how MicroStrategy or the other public companies do it, they spread their coins across multiple custodians. So they MicroStrategy have Coinbase, Prime, and Fidelity. So they try and spread the risk. We also have the discussion of proof of reserves that Metaplanet do that Strategy don't do. I don't believe the proof of reserves is a big a deal as people are making out. They are a publicly traded company. They are audited. They have to comply with the SEC. Michael Saylor is a billionaire. I don't see the risk of why he would try and play around with his coins. The upside is just not big enough, if you know what I mean. Like, why would he try and manipulate or not be transparent? He's a public company, so I don't really see an issue with that.
Yeah, he would basically play with the SEC and commit fraud, and if that comes out, he goes in prison. If I'm informed correctly.
Yeah. So where's the upside in that? So no, it's a non-issue. Every company can do what they want, but as long as you're abiding by the jurisdiction that you are in, then that is absolutely fine. Um, but we saw with Coinbase Prime recently that there was like a data breach, and people's data got leaked. So look, there are concerns. Coinbase hold, I think, 2 to 3 million Bitcoin. So it's a significant amount. So again, that's another centralized concern. All the ETF issuers, mainly BlackRock, hold it in Coinbase. So you have to start looking at all these centralized concerns. Do I trust Coinbase? I think on whole you have to, but also their activities over the past make them hard to trust with all their degenerate crypto meme coin and listings and everything like that. Um, so yeah, it's you have to just take them for their word, which is not really the ethos of Bitcoin.
It was fun to see when Brian Armstrong, who sells a lot of shit coins on Coinbase, is going ahead and then informing the president, oh, it should be Bitcoin only, the strategic reserve, and he comes publicly out. How did you actually like the strategic Bitcoin reserve and how this kind of shaked out till now?
Well, it started not with a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It started with a strategic Bitcoin reserve and cryptocurrencies. Um, and then I think it got walked back, and then it just became a strategic Bitcoin reserve. But the challenge is Trump doesn't want to put any more cost to the taxpayer. So they have to find it in a delta neutral, budget neutral way. And what, we're 4 or 5 months since that, and nothing's really happened. JD Vance David Sachs alluded we're still looking for budget neutral ways, and it's like, if you haven't come up with ideas now, you probably aren't coming up with ideas. I think crypto seizures are probably the best idea to get some money in. But yeah, it's pretty concerning that after all these months, they haven't found a way to find a budget neutral strategy.
Interesting, yeah. It's also the Syndilumis bill and all those things going on. It's almost like the states are maybe going on faster than the federal government. I'm really looking forward to how this things plays out with nations, because I personally I'm okay with nations not buying Bitcoin. So I want the individuals to have a longer chance to buying, even though they already had 16 years.
Yeah, the issue does become, where is this new money coming from to inflate the price higher? You just had a vice president talk about Bitcoin, or you had the president last year in his election campaign, and it's like you've got nation states potentially buying hash rates at an all-time high. So I know that the UAE are mining Bitcoin with their renewable energy, and like, you couldn't get more bullish news globally. I think Russia's biggest bank are doing a Bitcoin bond. So it's like, what else do you need for the price to go higher? The options market is alluding to a surge in June, July, but it doesn't look like it. The on-chain fees have just disappeared. No one's transacting in it. There looks to be a lack of use cases for Bitcoin. Not trying to sound like an absolute doomer, but without a narrative, it becomes hard to see the price start to escalate. Um, MicroStrategy are trying to go through many different alternatives on their preferred stock. They just did Stride, which is their junk grade one. And at the moment, there's a lack of volatility in MicroStrategy. So that's why he can't issue any more ATM on his common stock. But it's interesting to see the lack of volatility for MicroStrategy is a bad thing. But the BlackRock ETF is also seeing a lack of volatility, but it's a good thing, because institutional investors are, I can invest in that because it's not as volatile. But the MicroStrategy investors need the volatility. So you could also say it the other way, that we're over $100,000 for almost a month now, and retail is just nowhere to be seen. There's no euphoria, there's no greed. We're just consolidating. So I guess, yeah, look, there's no narrative per se at the moment, but I guess the bullish news is you're comfortably over 100,000, which would have been a dream whenever 5-10 years ago.
That's a good point of like, you don't have any retail FOMO whatsoever, and we are just comfortable sitting over 100K, and it's very calm around Bitcoin. It's a good aspect, actually. I have one question that I asked each and every one of my guests, and the question is, what can we learn from you besides Bitcoin?
Well, I do a lot of data analysis and AI, mainly for Bitcoin, but no, it's understanding the markets, macro, and then yeah, I spend a lot of time in AI doing data analysis and leveraging AI, because I think AI is probably more important than Bitcoin. Um, I think the fiat Ponzi scheme only works. When the internet came, it changed everything, and now with AI, I believe it changes everything because governments can't control AI. And if you use these tools on every given daily basis, like your learning just multiplies by 10x, and you become more efficient, you become faster. It's just incredible to see it. So yeah, it's maybe my proficiency within the AI tools.
Interesting. How do you think AI can or will, if at all, impact Bitcoin?
Well, you've got quantum computing that's going to come, and Satoshi's keys become vulnerable. I think that becomes an existential threat to Bitcoin. I think they will be hacked. Um, I don't think there's a way of Bitcoin's proof of work. So if you do the work, and you break his keys through quantum, I think there's a valid reason saying that's fine because you've worked to do it. But then the other thing becomes, how existential does it become for the earlier coins as well? So look, I don't know what the answer is to that, and it's probably a discussion that's needed. But that becomes the obvious threat within the next 4 to 6 years, I reckon.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just
think it's something that gets talked about, but probably not a lot in on like podcasts and like on like public spaces. It's more like more like experts talking.
yeah, because no one wants to talk about it because it's an existential threat. So yeah, that's my main concern. And yeah, I would like more people talking about it.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.